Okay, so welcome to Rico 12. My name is Lisa S. and I have the disease of alcoholism. It's so lovely to have you here, guys, and anyone listening. So we begin with a moment's silence for the still suffering addict inside and outside these Zoom rooms, and followed by the set aside prayer. Dear God, please set aside anything we think we know about ourselves, about our disease, about the big book, the 12 steps, the program, the fellowship, the people in the fellowship, and all spiritual terms, especially you, God, so that we may have an open mind and a new experience with all these things. Please help us see the truth. We surrender this next hour to you. Your will, not ours, be done. Amen. So Rico 12 is an organization with the mission of learning and sharing the similarities of addiction of all kinds, and gaining and sharing tools and hope from others who are walking a similar path. We all come together from all places, faiths and backgrounds to gain tools and hope from others. Got other speakers from our past meetings have represented many fellowships, addictions and afflictions. And we do really look forward to continuing to add to the diversity of speakers and backgrounds. And I hope you'll reach out if you think your experience, strength and hope will benefit this special community. Today's speaker is Marley. He'll be speaking around 30 minutes or however long you feel comfortable with, Marley. And we'll get him to share, and then followed by Q&A afterwards. If you do have any questions, what you want to put to Marley, please feel free to pop them in the chat, or you can come in after and raise your hand, and we'll get them questions to Marley, and Marley can answer them for you. So the Rico 12 family of recovery resources continues to grow, and has so many more resources for the addict and the loved ones of those addicted. We have a Rico 12 Roundtable where we've got some great speakers, David G, Nikki M and Justin B, and they go through the book line by line. Brilliant resource. There's also every week a Noodle It Out with Justin and Nikki, where they adapt the big book to everyday life. Excellent, another resource. And also we have the Nikki M Noodle It Out live meeting every Monday. All great Rico 12 resources, all available, and I'll put all the information in the chat during the meeting, and also is on the live show notes on the Rico 12 website. So Tradition 7, Rico 12 is a self-supporting service, and we really appreciate your help in keeping us working our step 12 in this manner. We gratefully accept one-time contributions through PayPal, Venmo and Wise through the links in the chat, and again on the Rico 12 website. We also offer a monthly subscription program called Rico 12 Spearheads. To join in and help support these cool projects, please consider donating at www.rico12.com/support, or you can click on the link during the live meeting. Well, I'll put the details in the chat again, guys. So we look forward each meeting to growing deeper in effectiveness and understanding as we learn from and with our special speakers. And this evening, wherever you're to, or wherever you're listening from, we are very blessed to have Marley, who's going to be speaking on being of service. So over to you, Marley, with great pleasure.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Marley. I'm a grateful recovered addict. Sorry, I had to go to the toilet quite fast. Thanks for having me over here, Lisa. Yeah, it's good to be of service. You know, it's the one thing I need to be to stay free from this disease. I'm glad to see one of my biggest friends over here as well to support. Kevin, thank you for being here. I just told Lisa that I've seen the miracle happen during your progress of recovery. You had this spiritual awakening, and yeah, damn, brother. About a year ago, I almost lost you, and I got you back, and I'm very grateful to have you in my life. I thank God for it every day. And well, let's start. Um, like I said, my name is Marley. I'm a grateful recovered addict. My sobriety date is the 14th of April, 2024. Next week I will be celebrating 2 years. I know I will because I have got God and this program on my side. If I keep on doing every day the things that I need to do, so that means I start my day with prayer and meditation. I start to check in with my sponsor and the fellowship, you know, and I start with thinking, how can I be of service today? But before I start talking about service and a little about my life, because I got 30 minutes, the only way to get to the solution for me has been the big book. I also talked with Lisa about it. There's no other way. If you are a real addict, I mean, there are obviously no moderate drinkers over here. That's one thing for sure. I ain't no heavy drinker, you know. I lost my relationship. I fucked up my finances. I've been in the gutter. I lived on the streets. I've been to prison. I've been to hospitals. You know, the obsession of losing the obsession to drink or to drug has been removed from me in 6 weeks. And 4 weeks of them, I was in the clinics. So in 2 weeks, I did. I started with my first 9 steps, where 7 clinics, a therapeutical community, 27 times in the hospital, which pronounced 2 times death, and 3 times in jail in 3 different countries, couldn't do for me what the program did for me in 6 weeks. And that's because of a book. It's called The Big Book. The Big Book is a textbook. So it's, not a self-help program, because if I could help myself, I would have done it years ago. I'm gonna walk through the big book with you in the most fast way there's possible to tell you there is a solution if you follow this big book exactly, precisely. It's like a cookbook, 12 steps are the 12 ingredients. And if you want to bake a cake, you also have to follow the recipe exactly, and make it as fast as possible. Because if I make a cake and today I put in the eggs, in 3 months I put in the baking soda or whatsoever, the cake will fail and it will taste horribly. But if I do it in the right way, like my chef or the sponsor says, you will recover. The big book starts with this is based on the experience of thousands of men and women who have recovered. And that was the first thing for me that I thought, wow, you can recover. If somebody with 20 years of sobriety says to me, I'm still recovering, I'm still an addict, then I thought that didn't give me a lot of hope. But the people who say I am a recovered addict, even though they had, I've seen them 2 months, 3 months, whatsoever, I thought, like, damn, they aren't lying. I thought of somebody with 20 years of sobriety that, nah, gotta be a setup. But this book is written by Bill Wilson, and it's based on the experience of thousands of people, but they say 100 men and women who have recovered. And I thought to myself, okay, I never read a book in my life, so that's the first thing I have to start reading. But I ain't stupid. I'm a clever addict, so I can read as well. But if it's been written by one person, I could start arguing. But based on the experience of 100 men and women, I thought to myself, okay, if I have a street fight with 100 men and women, I won't win. I can take care of 1, 2, maybe with a baseball bat, I can get 3 people knocked down on a good day. But that's it. So I just started to do what my sponsor told me. Read, underline the big book, work the steps, find a power greater than yourself. But before I was able to find the power greater than myself, that's God for me today, I had to understand my disease. Um, but if you have any doubts about if the big book is a textbook, well, let me show you. The textbook normally has layers, and the big book is brought down in 4 points. What is the problem? What is the solution for the problem? How to get the solution, and what will happen afterwards. Every chapter starts with this. There's a problem. What is the solution? How to get the solution, and what will happen afterwards. The first 103 pages show you this is a recovery program. Not I do it myself program. No, how to recover. Not my will, but the suggestions uh, that are being shown in the big book. And to find the power greater than yourself. And this will happen. Or you have a God moment, like I had in my last clinic. I had this direct moment with God that He showed me, I am here if you honestly want to, if you're desperate enough. Or you will find it uh, during working the steps. So I told you, what is the problem? The first 51 pages of the big book show you the problem in chapters. 51 pages have been spent on making clear that there is a problem that is bigger than your own self-will. You know, Step one starts with the doctor's opinion, and that's another chapter. That's an introduction of how the disease works, because this disease uh, has three parts. It has this mental obsession, this allergic reaction to the body, this phenomenon of craving. Sorry, difficult word for me. And the spiritual melody. How did it work for me? Well, you know, um, if I would pick up the first one, something in my body would happen to me. Not like when I go to a bar with a non-alcoholic takes a beer, he feels relieved, but that's about it. If I pick up the first one, it's like that I've been unchained. The non-alcoholic takes a second drink and starts to get dizzy, and he thinks, okay, that's about it for me. With the second drink, it activates this phenomenon of craving. It takes the third drink, the fourth drink, then it takes my body and my mind. And after 5 drinks, I'm dancing on the table. And after 5 days, I'm lying under the table, and I still want to achieve this feeling of picking up the first drink, you know? And this obsession of the mind will make me do anything for one more drink, anything for one more shot. You know, it doesn't matter if I have to rob, steal, manipulate, shoot, stab, sell my sell my child. It didn't care. I didn't care. Well, I did care, but I wasn't able to stop it. You know, and why did I always pick up that first drink again? My mind, because my mind is broke. It's like a bad neighborhood. You shouldn't be walking there too long because it will go wrong. My mind always convinced me this time it would be different. The insanity is not in what I would do if I picked up the first drink. No, it's before I pick up the first drink. No, today I'm only gonna drink one bottle of rum, only 2 grams of cocaine or whatsoever. And I always ended up the same way. It was on the streets, in the hospital, in jail, or waking up to somebody which of I thought it was Beyonce the night before, and it turned out to be Bigfoot. That was one of my options. you know. So, but the spiritual melody, that is the most important thing for me. You know, It means I was always restless, irritable, and discontent. I always wanted to jump out of my own skin because I wasn't able to handle the things that happened to me in the past. I was afraid of the future. I was insecure. Uh, but the most frightening thing was to live in today. To feel, to take my responsibility as a father, as a son, as a friend, or whatsoever. You know. But by working the program, by working the steps, I learned to live in today. And I've seen a lot of prisons in my life, but I've been free from the biggest prison there is. And that's this one. Okay, so if you start to know to understand what your disease is, we move to the first chapter. It's Bill's story. In Bill's story, there's been shown a lot of examples of insanity. To get recognition, hiding your bottles, the shakings during the night, started to take medications to function or whatsoever. The lying, the cheating, it shows the delusional aspects.
Got questions about addiction, recovery, or just life in general? Let's noodle it out together. Grab your big book, a pen, a highlighter, and a notepad, and join Nikki M and me, Justin B, on Rico 12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M. Each episode, we take real-life questions, ours, yours, and those from the recovery community, and dig deep into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to find real, practical solutions. So, if you're ready to do the work and apply the solution, tune in to Noodle It Out with Nikki M, streaming now on your favorite podcast platform.
Of our disease. So that's the first 51 pages. Step 2, there is a solution. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. There must be something, even if it's God, the energies of life, the meetings, whatsoever. You only have to be willing to believe. That's it. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and life, our will and our life over to the cares as we understood him. Trust God. Trust in this power greater than yourself. And if you still aren't convinced, you go to chapter 4, be agnostic. This is to take away any of your doubts. Choose a God of your own understanding, they told me. Quickly move forward. In step 5, we work. Step 3 and 4, trust God and clean house. Take away all your resentments, all your fears and whatsoever. And I had to find out that in everything in which I had a resentment, I had my own path, And because my sponsor showed me that I was the problem and not the world around me, I was able to start to change, my mind, the way of thinking, the way to approach things, the way to be able to communicate with the world, because I was a monster. I lived too long in the jungle, Step 6, into action. That's step 5 to 11 in one chapter. Unbelievable. And step 7, or chapter 7, working with others, is step 12, the thing that I'm doing today, being of service. So if you add this all up, you have a spiritual awakening. Guaranteed. If you don't get it, you haven't been honest, you have been lying, you are not willing enough. Sorry to break it up for you, but that's the truth. Honestly. If you have had a spiritual awakening, then you go to chapter 8, 9, and 10. to wives, to family afterwards, and to employees, in which you can practice all these principles into all our affairs. So everything you have learned, start doing it. Start being of service to your wife, to your employee, to the family, you know. Be humble. Walk through life with grace and dignity, you know. I learned that there is no pink cloud. Pink cloud. There's only God's grace. That's about fucking it. So stop fucking around. I love you though, but stop fucking around. And in chapter 11, a vision for you. This is how life can be after doing the 12 steps and continue to doing the 12 steps. It gives you a vision of how life, how great life can be. You know, sorry, I have a dry mouth. 2 years ago, I was living on the streets. I lost my ex-wife. I lost my both children. I had enormous debts, and I wanted to commit suicide. Fast forward to 2 years to nowadays, I got my own house. I got co-parency. I got my daughter back in my life. I got my son back in my life. I have no more debts. I have a new relationship, with my girlfriend, and I love her till that. You know, she was the one who came down last night around midnight to be here to take care of my youngest son, so I would be able to speak here this morning, because I thought it had to be at night because I was used to that. But thank God there's a solution. You know, there are only 11 chapters in this book, because we are chapter 12, you and me. There are 12 steps, 12 traditions, 12 concepts. To my opinion and knowledge, we are the living chapter 12. We make up the chapter as we go along, and more shall be revealed. More shall be revealed if we keep on doing what we are doing. Well, I am a big book thumper. I just showed you the solution in about 10 minutes. And to keep on doing what I'm doing, I have to do step 10, 11, and 12 on a daily basis. I make up this inventory. Have I been lying? Have I been cheating? Have I been dishonest? Not kind enough whatsoever? Prayer, meditation, and working the steps. You know, too long I've been playing for God. Too long everybody had been serving me. You know, it started at a young age. You know, I am a people pleaser. Yes, I've been of service to a lot of people at a young age, because I wanted them to like me, to cherish me or whatsoever. But I also found out that if I would do a service for you, I could get it back multiplied. You know, for example, if I had to be back at home at 9 o'clock in the evening, I knew I would be late. I would go to the store, buy myself for my mother some flowers, come home at 11 o'clock, give her the flowers, and I knew she would say, "Oh, it's okay, you're late." And the next day I could be late as well, manipulating as fuck, you know. And I was 10, 11, you know. And by the time I started to drink and drug at the age of 12, I knew exactly what to say, in what way, or act in I don't know, with a hug or whatsoever, to get my will done. You know, I thought I was God at a very young age, and when I started to turn older, I used people all the time, all the time. You know, I always thought I was a big guy because at the age of 17, I started to live on my own. But I had somebody who paid my bills. I had somebody who cooked for me. I had somebody who washed my clothes. I had somebody to wipe my ass so I could keep on drinking and drugging. You know, I didn't take responsibility for nothing, but I thought I had it all. You know, I had the money. I had some kind of power, because I used fear, you know, the fear that I had been living in, at a young age, because I've been abused mentally and physically for about 8 years. It's an excuse, by the way, for my drinking and drugging. You know, all the things that happen at a young age are excuses because I've been born with the disease. You know, it didn't because that happened because of some traumas that happened in my life. No, it's here. My mind is broke. And I kept on doing this, you know, using everybody. And I only did something for you if I knew that there would be profit in, you know. And because of that, I had to take 21 persons. Uh, at 21 funerals already. I'm 32 years old. Because of that, my parents almost divorced, and they are like an old school happy couple together. Because of that, I have no more contact with my brother. Because of that, my daughter haven't had a father for the first 8 years of her life. Because of that, the last day I used and drugged, I had my newborn son in my right hand, and in my left hand I had a package of cocaine, and my son needed to shut the fuck up because his father wanted to use, you know. And when I ended up in the streets again, the only benefit from that was nobody asked me for money. That was the only thing because I didn't have any more. And I started to work the program, rebuild my life with the suggestions of others, with a sponsor. And I started to learn what it is to take responsibility and to be of service, you know. It's service in various ways, you know. It's doing service on a meeting because it gives me this responsibility to be there every Monday night. You know, I started with doing the chairs, set out and make a pot of coffee, talking about the literature, giving the coins away, whatsoever. Mm, you know, and it's bullshit that you have to be 1 year sober to be a GSR for meeting. The big book doesn't say you have to be a year sober. You know, everything is possible. Do it as quickly as possible, you know, because by doing service, I got back what I always was searching for. And that's acceptance, love, you know, uh, just being liked for the person that I am and not because of what I'm saying or what I gave to you because back at the time I had some money or whatsoever. No, you know, but being of service also makes you to communicate with people around you, to create friendships, you know, because if you show up 5 minutes till 8 and you leave at 9:05, there won't be any connection, and recovery is going to be hard. But if you show up an half an hour early and you stay half an hour after, you start to know the people, you know, and not only talking about recovery, but what is your favorite color? Do you have children as well? Hey, next week I'm having a barbecue. Come on over, you know. The first year of my recovery, I did everything that I didn't like, you know. I was not pickpocket. I don't know. I was not picking the fruits that I liked. I did everything, you know. And
Hey, Spearheads, if you're looking to dive deeper into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with people who live the solution, then you won't want to miss RICO 12 Big Book Roundtable. Join David G., Nikki M., and me, the moderator Justin B., 3 recovered addicts from multiple fellowships, as we break down the big book line by line. In each 30-minute episode, we share our experience, strength, and hope in a real, raw, and practical roundtable discussion. So, if you are ready to learn and apply what you learn, tune in to RICO 12 Big Book Roundtable on your favorite podcast platform.
I also started, I had this opportunity because a friend of mine who did a 12 step on me introduced me to HNI, you know, and I think that's the cornerstone of my recovery, uh, along with God. You know, I am able to I have the honor to be a chairman of 2 districts in the Netherlands. You know, to go around to detox as clinics and prisons, to give this education of what CA is. You know, how did I recover? That I am a living example of how great life can be. You know, I have the trust to do the finances. You know, to steer people to different locations. I love what I do because I can't do enough service. You know, CA saved my life. It honestly did. You know, and because I started to do service a lot at the beginning of my recovery, I also learned how to be of service to my family again, to friends, and to people I don't know. You know, because for me it isn't normal to ask, "How are you doing? Can I help you with something?" You know, my father, for example, he's very ill and he lives in Spain with my mother. That I pick up the phone, "Hey, Dad, how are you doing? Do you want me to fly over to stay for a couple of days so I can help in the garden or do the groceries or whatsoever?" You know, I had to learn that because I am the person that wants to take the last piece of pie, you know, because the root of my problem ain't drinking and drugging. It's me being the most selfish motherfucker on this planet. And I learned how to give the last piece of pie away, you know, to walk this old lady across the street, to to help a homeless guy, or well, help sit next to him, buy him something to drink and a cup of bananas and do a prayer with him. You know, that's being of service. That is what God wants me to do, to help as much people as I can, you know. And I love what I do. I honestly do. Because if I don't do it, the root of my problem will come back. Maybe not in a day, maybe not in a week, but it will come back, you know? And it starts with me being more silent, more grumpy. I won't go to a meeting today. I won't call him. I won't call her. Blah, 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 blah. And at the end, there's only one solution to numb this feeling, and that's drinking and drugging again. So I better be of service, you know, better be here sharing my story. I hope that I reached some persons over here today to plant this seed of recovery. And if I did not, fine by me as well, because I know I'm going to stay sober today because I did what I have to do. And I still have a beautiful day ahead. I'm going to get dressed, gonna take all the children to the swimming pool, enjoy my day, and tonight I get down on my knees and say, thank you. And tomorrow I repeat again. So thank you very much for listening and have a great fucking day. Bless to you all.
Oh, do you know what, Marley? Thank you so much. You made me smile a lot through that. And I love what you say about this recipe, and we hear it so often. You know, if I don't put every ingredient into this, then my cake or whatever it is gonna flop. And I love that saying about, you know, we have to put in all, like you said, work in all the steps. And you said we can't pick and choose, or else we will fall. You know, we won't rise like the cake, or you know, like that. I loved when you said living in step 10, 11, and 12, and you spoke a bit about your step 11 practice with prayer and inventory. For you, what does your step 10 look like, Marley?
Oof. Honestly, I do have this standard questions to answer. But most of the time, I just pick up a pen, a blank paper, and I start to write. I just start to write what's in my head, put it down on paper, every feeling that comes across it. And because I do that, I am that far in my process that I immediately know, oh, I have this feeling because I was a bit of an idiot against that person. Um, I know exactly when I'm dishonest. That's that sixth sense, that gut feeling or whatsoever. Even most of the times, it's this being dishonest against myself. Why am I doing what I am doing? And I ask God to take it away, to remove it. And otherwise, I pick up the phone and start calling. Hey, to my wife, sorry that I've been an asshole, that you did this and this for me, and I didn't say thank you at all. You know. Um, and sometimes I don't write. I do it in my head. Because when I am in silence, I get my answers. I sit down on my knees. I listen. I feel. And most of the time, in the first 30 seconds, I get my answer. And most of the time, it's the answer I don't like. So I keep on meditating, hoping the answer will be different. But I know I get this name, I get this object, this situation or whatsoever, and then I have a choice. Am I going to take care of it, or am I putting it away in this safe of darkness and let it grow in silence? No, I have to be of action. Maybe that's an answer.
It's lovely, Marley. Yeah, it's all about that awareness, isn't it? Watching ourselves all day long, knowing, like you say, when I'm being dishonest or resentful and that, and nipping it in the bud, I guess. We have a question here in the chat for you, Marley. How do you work your program when life gets hard and lifey?
Hey, Rico 12 Spearheads. If our recovery resources have helped you, please consider a donation. Your financial support, as well as your word of mouth support, keeps Rico 12 running and reaching the man who is still sick. Donate today at rico12.com/support or check the show notes for PayPal and Venmo links. Every contribution helps carry the message. Thanks for being a Rico 12 Spearhead.
How do you work your program when life gets hard and lively? What's meant by lively?
So when life happen, things come at us.
Okay. Well, first of all, I can't control life, but I do have a certain amount of control of what I can do on a day. It's honestly, it's quite simple because I have found a great power greater than myself in which I trust. I know everything will work out eventually, but the big difference is uh, the solution won't come when I want it to come, but when God wants it to happen. Because in every negative thing or any situation that hurts, there is a lesson to be learned. But it's very important not to do it on my own. For example, if I have a bill to pay that costs £1,000, what can I do? Maybe smoke a little less, buy cheaper products at the grocery shop, make a call up the firm and ask for how do you say it, a delay or pay in monthly amounts or whatsoever. Call up an old friend maybe who still owes me money. I had this happen and with this bill of £1,000, and I managed to pay 500, and then there was still 500 left, and I knew I did what I could have done, so I took it to God. God, please help me, and I was able to let it go. And 2 days later, an old friend called me. Hey Marley, remember in the old days, you gave me some money. I want you to pay it back. It's how God works, trust in the process
Mm.
and use the fellowship. Why should I do everything alone? I got a network that is so big nowadays. If I have something with my bathroom, I can call somebody. If I have something with my trauma of the past, I know somebody. Um, First of all, I start to read the big book again. So there are different ways to
Yeah.
work the program.
Yeah, I love that. When I love that you spoke, because your topic being of service, which is absolutely crucial, isn't it, for us all, self-sacrificing. When you spoke a bit about your involvement in H&I, Marley, what does that entail, and what does that look like as part of your program?
Well, it's the cornerstone of my work in the program. If I forget where I came from, my so-called ego or this disease will start to grow again, because while I'm doing this 12 step today, I can look outside and my addiction is doing push-ups, it's working on itself as well. But if I go back to where I came from, I get this recognition of shit. I always say thank you guys for helping me today. And they are looking like, what? I said, yeah, because you show me where I came from, and I never want to go back. But the most beautiful thing that happened is I went to a prison, did what I had to do. I got a sponsor over there. I worked the program with him while he was in jail. When he came free, I picked him up, took him to the meetings, and afterwards he started to pick up all of his friends that were in jail that came free, and he started to work the program with them. And this vicious circle was around, And I see spiritual awakenings on a daily basis happening over there. And that's brilliant. It's the most beautiful thing there is, and I can't get enough. I'm an addict. I want more recovery, you know. So yeah, if you want to do a service, come to H&I, hospitals and institutions. It's everywhere.
Giving back isn't it, Marley? Is so beautiful how you put it. Giving back what we were so freely given, and we've got the opportunity to give that back into institutions and stuff, and hospitals. It's a beautiful way to work the step 12. MJ, come in.
Hi guys, I'm an addict and my name is MJ. Thanks for your share, Marley, and thank you, Lisa, as always. H&I is my new high, Marley, that's the truth. And you talked about honesty and your dishonesty. So my question to you is, has there been a moment in H&I service that has challenged your honesty or your humility? And if so, how did you deal with it?
Oh, that's a good question. My honesty, no. Because honestly, I can't lie anymore. You know, but my humility, I think at the beginning, because before I became a chairman, I was a vice chairman, and that was the time I fucked up one time in recovery, the first time, because I was doing it on my own will, and it gave me a sense of being important. You know, I am the guy who is being able to go to jail. I am the guy that is responsible for blah 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 blah, and that fucked me over, honestly. You know. And nowadays, I can enter there and I stutter. I tell them that I'm nervous, you know, because I can speak from the heart instead of the mind, and it will come out naturally, you know. And it happens quite often that we all cry together, because even though that I don't know them, I know them, and that's the other way around as well. Um, do I think that I walk with in humility? I found it difficult to say about myself, but I suppose I am, because if I start to talk from the ego, uh, Mr. Know It All, I won't reach them. They will. I will lose contact. And it's a matter of life and death for them and for me. So I have to get on my knees. I always get on my knees on the toilet. Doesn't matter in which clinic, prison I am, how dirty it is. I always get on my knees first and ask God to give me the words that I need to speak. Give me this kind of humility, this speaking from warmth and love and empathy, something that was very difficult for me. Empathy, you know. And the most beautiful thing is I walk out after an hour or 1.5 hour. That used to be different as well.
I love that. That was beautiful, Marley. And I love that in your answer. And thank you for the question, MJ, because it goes so deep. Like we doing that service, we can help when no one else can. Because when you just said we can connect because we've been there. And we don't come in like on this high moral ground that we're better than you, because we're all equal, shoulder to shoulder. And then they gain our trust because they know that we're not there to preach. We've been there, we've lived it, we know the depths of this darkness, and we're just here to pass the message on. It's such a great form of being of service. It really is. And one last question for myself is, what would you say, Marley, to a newcomer or someone who's really struggling at the minute? What would you say to them?
Maybe a cliche, but first of all, you worked it. You already took half of your first step of being here. Call me. Call me to get you through this so-called triggers that I don't believe in. You know, because I'm a lot cheaper than your dealer. Believe me, I'm a lot cheaper. You know, I made a decision that I didn't want to use anymore, and I would do anything for recovery. So accept the help that's been offered today. You know, I know MJ, Lisa, you're also somebody that got the knowledge. We are here to help to those who are in need. We are here. For me, it is. I am in that state of recovery. And if you take away the meetings, the phones, and whatsoever, I can at 4 o'clock at night, I can call on God, and I know I will be fine. If you aren't there yet, use the fellowship. You know, you can do it alone. You've proven that you can do it alone. Me as well. You know, every time when I did or do something on my own, there will be a disaster. So please, you're worth it. And I love you. I will love you till the point that you start loving yourself, honestly. And then I keep on loving you. This is a program of love. And also a kick under the butt when sometimes needed. I think that's about it.
That was so lovely. Yeah, I guess that is such a vital what you just said, Marley. It's staying connected, isn't it? Because that's what our disease wants. It likes to isolate us. And if, you know, that connection with God, the fellows, doing service, if we keep doing all them three sides of the triangle, and as a beautiful person says, if we persist, remarkable things really do happen. So thanks again, Marley. I really appreciate it having you here this morning. It's been great. And for all the addicts and the loved ones, it's a beautiful, you know, place to connect. And if we didn't get to your question, or if anyone's got any questions who are listening to this, please consider joining our WhatsApp community by sending an email to rico12pod@gmail.com, and you can join in with that community, with our community, and ask those questions. If you'd like to be a future speaker on Rico 12, please send an email again to the same rico12pod@gmail.com. And if you've not yet rated and reviewed the podcast in Apple Podcasts, please go do so now. It's a great way to work step 12 in this, sharing this message with others. So I invite the audience to come back next week. Another great speaker. And now one last bit of service for you, Marley. If you could lead us out on the Serenity Prayer, please, my love.
Of course. Let's do it in the we form, right? God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the different. Sorry, I just lost it. I had a blackout. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and wow.
Wisdom to know the difference.
And the wisdom to know the difference. I'm very sorry.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Sorry. God knows what we're saying in our heads anyway. Yep.
And the wisdom to know the difference. I'm sorry.
So just to end, there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Stick and stay, guys. And when you do, come all the way in, sit all the way down. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it, you are worth it.